A middle-aged man pursues his dream of becoming a police officer. It's ABC's new hit drama, The Rookie, and we're talking about it right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
This is a way to intro.
Bad boys
It's
on the
kind of
LA
like
streets.
bad boys in the show, maybe one bad boy, bad girl over here. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV. It is the debut, the pilot episode. The pilot's the title of the episode, and it's our pilot episode. It's season 1, episode 1 of ABC's new hit crime drama, The Rookie, starring Nathan Fillion. My name is Michael Rippey. I'm your host at Mike Rips. You can find me on social media, and I'm joined by the lovely.
Hey, it's me, Cherry. How are you guys doing?
And where can they find you on social media?
They can find me, Cherry_LA, on Instagram and Twitter.
Make sure you guys find AfterBuzz TV on iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast. Give a like and a follow and a subscription on YouTube as well. Let us know your thoughts. It's going to be an exciting season, 13 episodes. We've got a special show tonight where we've got special segments. We've got news, predictions, and we're going to talk about the new show. It just started. Let's get into it, right? The Rookie.
I am so excited to have Nathan back on ABC. He was quite charming, and he's 40. What?
He's 40. I mean, he's a middle-aged man pursuing his dream of becoming a police officer. And he immediately, at the top of the episode, we realize he's going through a divorce and apparently is in a midlife crisis. We see right at the top, he's putting rings and jewelry in a safe box at a bank, which ends up getting robbed. And this kind of throws us into why he wants to pursue this whole new lifestyle.
Well, he's moving from the small town to the big city of LA. And I don't know if I was having a midlife crisis, if becoming a cop would be what I would choose. But I thought it was a really fun idea for a show. And it totally fits in with Nathan.
And it's interesting because at the start, they one of the characters mentions to him, did you want to be in Chippendales? He says he wants to be in Chippendales or the NFL, not so much a cop. But do you think he would have been good in the NFL?
Well, he was going to school to be a lawyer, so I think he should have stayed in that lane.
That's right. Penn State for pre-law, they tell us. They also mentioned that he was in Foxburg, Pennsylvania, which I've never heard of. If you guys have, let us know. Shout out in the comments. Tell us on social media. And then they fast forward to 9 months, and that's really where we start. We're in Los Angeles, and he's going to become a cop. Now, right off the top, and please let us know what you think out there, and what do you think, Sherry? Because they're moving real fast at the start here to set us up with a plot, and I would have liked a little bit more development before we even got to Los Angeles, or some of the scenes. It just seems like for the pilot episode, I thought it was a lot kind of thrown together, and I think it could have been better.
Well, they totally skipped over them being trained and going to school, which I think was
kind of important,
especially to figure out why everybody else was going, and they started to skip when their training officers asked them. But I totally get why they did it, because of the popularity of 911, which immediately jumped into its episode. And I think they're sort of replicating that fast pace and feel.
I mean, talk about fast pace. Officer Chen, Lucy Chen, makes an arrest before she's even started, which I don't even know if that makes sense. But clearly they're moving real quick on the characters. They're introducing a lot of characters without too much development on some of them, and they're slowly bringing them along. We get introduced to Officer Bishop, who is going to be, the lead, John Nolan, who Nathan plays. It's going to be his ride-along partner. So we get a lot more of Officer Bishop. What do you think about that pairing of an Officer Bishop with Nolan to start?
I thought that was really interesting because they're both ambitious, but for different reasons. And also, I enjoyed, as far as the writing goes, dealing with being a woman as a police officer, and they did 3 different ways of looking at it. One, she's dating a fellow cop officer, which is like a no amongst officers.
Officer Bishop?
Yes. Wait.
No, Officer Bishop.
Officer Chen is dating her boyfriend. And then Officer Bishop is very ambitious to be a captain, and that's single-minded on hers. And she feels that he'll be a reflection on her, and she's not sure if it'll be a good reflection or a bad reflection. I kind of think he's like not following the rules exactly.
Okay, so you kind of skipped ahead here. Then I wanted to
I
go by
always-
talking about a romance, which happens about 30 minutes in. And I want to get to that, but let's hold off for a second.
Okay.
Because we see the first scene of kind of a chase with them searching for a kid in the car after they, there's, their first action. They brings you to Hollywood Boulevard. It's a good representation of what LA and Hollywood Boulevard looks like. And you have someone that's whether he's on drugs or he's a little bit lost. He's apparently left his kid in the car, and at the same time is has a bat and is just beating bashing car windows right in the center of Hollywood Boulevard. They find him. That's when they finally arrest him. That he's got a kid who apparently is going to the unicorns, and they have to search. And now this is kind of their first search. It's kind of scattered to me the whole time. I'm thinking, how do they bring the kid into the situation, and all of Los Angeles, they're just going to randomly find him somewhere, and they're chasing, and that's the first scene. Any thoughts when you're watching that scene, just in general?
I thought it was very strange because he was having obviously either a mental breakdown or he's on drugs, so he's unable to really enunciate what was going on, and how they sort of got missing child, the phone call, him. It was a little confusing. I wish that they had done a little bit more conversation with the father, even though he was obviously having some sort of breakdown. But for him to think balloon animal and everything, I was just. But the call from the mother was helpful to sort of set up exactly who the child, what they were looking for.
And he keeps saying Lucas, and then she calls, and they're saying Lucas, which they determine is the kid.
Yes, I thought it was a dog at first.
But even in your thoughts, it seems like it's a little bit scattered. To me,
Yes.
I would have liked, because it's like they just shoot you into this scene where they're there's no development of their camaraderie. We do see that the sergeant is against Nathan, Officer John Nolan. It seems like everybody's kind of mocking John Nolan at the start, and it's I don't understand that, because is the idea that if you're middle aged and you want to be a cop, that you get mocked, or you're just older, so you shouldn't be able to do it? Or
I believe they have rules as far as how old you can be, and I'm pretty sure 35 is at the limit. So he must have gotten some sort of special, or maybe there's a new rule or something.
It doesn't show us any special rules, so it just seems like the whole purpose of the show is to make fun of a middle-aged man that's trying to follow. He's broken down. So I'm not sure. I'm just wondering, what was your take on it? Because to me, I'm confused on it.
To me, I think it would be almost illegal because it's harassment. But maybe but they were all mocking all of the new recruits. But it feels like the captain is sort of harassing him to get him to quit, because he doesn't want him there because he's old, he's not going to follow the rules, and he gets confused a little bit.
The sergeant does tell him he's like, I don't like you, and because even if he's successful, then he's going to get others that think they can be successful, and it's a bad luck no matter what for him. It just,
Yes.
I don't understand the premise from, if this is your pilot episode, how you continue with that theme. I guess eventually they'll try to make him a good guy. But let's go to the second chase. So they find Lucas, the kid he saved, and I get there's a part of it they're showing you, like, how's it feel to the emotional. They're giving you a little emotional roller coaster. They show us a domestic abuse scene where Officer Nolan shows up, and they kind of he talks to the male. His partner, Officer Bishop, talks to the female. They work it out. They leave. She says, we're going to see him. We're going to be back here. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to them being back there. They're in an all-out brawl, and the female is stabbing the male.
I thought it was interesting when they came in, because at first I could tell that they were assuming the husband was the aggressor, trying to push him off of her.
Playing on stereotypes.
But when you really kind of listen to what he said and what the wife said, oh yeah, I like to push his buttons. It was obvious she was abusive, but since she was a tiny little thing, they were dismissive because he was such a big guy. But there is an issue with people being abusive, and if they don't fit in with what people think are going to be abusive, they won't do anything. So, but of course he didn't admit what was going on. So unless you have bruises, the police, they can't really do anything. I mean, someone called, and I'm sure they called and said, he's beating his wife.
And much like, I think, all of episode 1, and please let us know your thoughts when you watch this in the comments. Let us know. It kind of like I'm saying about the whole episode, it felt scattered even here, because quickly they're in a brawl. Next thing you know, the man is stabbed to death. And in Officer John Nolan's hands, and he's reflecting on the guy just died in his hands, and then Officer his partner says to him, the worst thing you can do is think and not act. So there's one thing that I do kind of like from tonight's episode. The main takeaway I got was there's a lot of quotes that sort of hit home, and not just if you're a cop, but in any sort of walk of life that I felt kind of could fit in. But again, for it immediately elevated from just a general fight to a death. It seems so fast paced and so aggressive.
It feels like they have a lot of story ideas that they want to like get told, and it's like they're sort of throwing a bunch of things on the wall to figure out what's going to work well, instead of sort of concentrating a little bit more.
Which
it's a lot of people.
I think is unique in the pilot episode, because usually in a pilot you're starting to get to know the people, and here it's like they make it seem as though we've been watching this show for a long time. This would be an episode you'd think in season 4 it almost felt like, because it's so fast paced, and there's killings, they're cops, they're doing the cop things. But that gets me to another reason why I thought that tonight's episode and the show starts off really just kind of scattered. We get to the part that you brought up about how Officer Nolan apparently is now dating or having an affair, or whatever you want to call it, with Officer Chen, one of the other cops. And this is 25 minutes into the episode. There's not really any lead into them having real interactions of real romance. And all of a sudden they're out at the fancy guest house of his college roommate, who we've never heard of. We don't know anything. First time we see this place, and they're kissing.
Well,
what is that?
They met when they were in the officer training, which, if I remember correctly, is about a year. Okay. So they had a year to, hook up or do whatever. And there was little hints when they were at the club, and the badge bunny was hitting on him, and she didn't particularly like it. But there's not a lot of chemistry between them. But Nathan's an attractive guy. I was looking at the chat.
Well, there's a lot of attractive guys. Doesn't mean you get together with them.
This is LA. You get with anybody you can find. So Evelyn Park in the chat was saying he agrees with you. This show seems like it is smashed together at the beginning. But he also says, but in real life, it doesn't take long for a person to die, especially if they are stabbed in the neck.
I appreciate the comments and sharing our recap with us, because that makes the show even better. So keep tuning in, and please sharing your thoughts. Understandably, obviously they have to move the show ahead. Just for me, seems like for a pilot episode, it's going so fast. I want it to slow down. I want to take in and get to know them a little bit more, other than having these quick generalizations where everybody's against Nolan. They're obviously the younger officers are very driven, and and then it takes another turn. So now we find Officer Bradford, who is the tough guy. He's a tough guy. He's been on the force, right? And they come up to a routine call, and they're going to essentially be arresting a guy. He lets his partner get into the fight, which is interesting. Is that really how it goes? And I'm going to get to some of these things in my questions a little bit later in the special segment, but we find out eventually that as they're going to arrest the guy, a woman says, let him go. And now that woman apparently ends up, it obviously affects Bradford. He's it's someone he knows. It ends up being his wife that he hasn't spoken to in a year.
Isabel.
More of where I'm just curious on why it's so fast-paced and so scattered. But am I wrong?
It's a lot of information. To me, that should have been in like the 3rd episode, once you got to know him a little bit better. But now we know why he's so angry.
Well, so she tells him when he says, what can I do? What she says, I want all your money. He gives her all his money, and they let the guy go when she says, let him go. Is this a real represent? Okay, we'll save that.
I don't think that's what
happens. Save that. Anyways, because you guys are with us right now, and we appreciate you subscribing and following and listening to us to keep us afloat, we've got a special message for you.
Hey, AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel, and check out our AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know that you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
That's right. I second everything that Cherry just told you. Thanks for tuning in to us on the debut pilot episode of the Rookie After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Episode 1, we've got 13 episodes this season. And if you can see how tonight's episode went, you know it's going to be real fast. Who knows where we're going to be in a couple episodes. Let's move along towards the end of the show tonight as we recap. And we see another situation where there's just a shootout. I mean, a chaotic shootout. And Bradford's hit. It seems like it's chaos. There's helicopters. There's I mean, a big battle is ensuing.
Yes. In the middle of an alleyway. Dangerous for all the people who happen to live over there. It was an interesting scene to sort of show how the rookies would react in such a situation.
You're telling me.
But once again, that's so much to happen in one episode.
I mean, for rookies, do rookies go through this much trauma as a cop immediately? It seems like they're all in the most aggressive, serious life. What about your routine cop? What about your routine traffic stop or your routine situation that they can just maybe arrest someone without it being escalated to code red?
That's why I prefer to be a cop in Beverly Hills.
Guns and shooting. I mean, I don't know.
It's dangerous. It's LA.
I don't know.
They were like in.
So how does this scene that's chaos with in the back alley, they're shooting, there's helicopters, the ambulance is rolling up. How's this episode in this little moment end up?
I thought it was interesting how the training officers reacted, as well as the rookies, and how they didn't follow their training, and that adversely affected their training officers. Talia was almost killed by one suspect.
Obviously.
Tim got shot badly because Lucy was hesitant, and at first she wanted to jump out from in front of the car and start shooting wildly like a video game. You can't do that. And Jackson just froze. If I have to say, out of the three of them, I'm probably Jackson, because I'd freeze too if somebody was shooting a semi-automatic rifle at me. But then again, I wouldn't choose to be a police officer.
So the situation eventually gets resolved. There's arrest, there's shooting, and we go to our final chaotic situation of episode 1 of The Rookie on ABC. And that's basically where Nolan is kind of Officer Nolan is in a standoff with the guy, and he's got a random lady with a knife to her neck.
First of all, this is LA. If I see someone running towards me with a damn shotgun or automatic weapon, I can't run, but believe me, I would at least try. I mean, I constantly look wherever I'm going. So I was really surprised about that. I thought that was a really interesting, I really like the speech he did where he said, I became a cop to help people not kill them. And then what he did, I was like, oh, he's going to talk him down. He's a nice guy. Then I was like, boom.
Shoots him in the knee.
Yes. That was not nice. That was a shock.
Well,
the guy looked like he was putting the weapon down.
So, right, he tells him to put the weapon down. He doesn't give him the total chance. He shoots him in the knee. Another part of episode that kind of confounded me and confused me a bit. But, and for doing that, we find out that the sergeant who doesn't like him actually tells him to go home. And he's done a bad job. He's got to go home. But obviously, so this is only episode 1, we need our main character, Officer Nolan, to be around. He is saved, and the sergeant's overruled by the captain, right?
Yes, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know what relationship the captain has with him, but there must be something for her to stick her neck out for him. There must be something, and it's not because he's just really attractive. Maybe one of his friends pulled a favor in for him.
And finally, right at the end of tonight's episode, we see Officer Bishop telling Officer Chen that she knows about Chen's relationship with Officer Nolan and that they need to stop.
Yes, which totally makes sense.
How does she know?
Oh, she saw the way they looked in the way that their body language.
Oh, so she's the body language doctor?
As a woman,
She's
we
the
have
body language cop.
intuition. As women, we have intuition. We know. She peeped what was going on.
All right.
She peeped.
So this brings us to part of our special segment where we have questions that I have thought of all throughout tonight's episode that I want to ask you. I want you guys out there to answer at the same time or whenever you see this, because as you can tell, I'm feeling very flummoxed. I'm very confused about how the pilot episode of a cop drama has kind of done this, where everything is fast-paced. I'm not really sure what's going on with a lot of these characters. They haven't developed them, and I'm confused why we don't get more in-depth detail on each of them. It seems very superficial and moving at a rate that's really fast. So let's start with, there's jokes in tonight's episodes, right, Sherry?
Lots and lots of jokes, surprising amounts of jokes. And it sort of careens from being kind of serious to being very dramatic to humor. It's very interesting.
What did you think of these jokes? Did you actually think that they were it was funny? Like, was this almost comedy at certain points with the amount of jokes, or were the jokes kind of falling flat?
I like the jokes. They didn't really make me laugh per se, but I think it's because I wasn't expecting the pace of this show. So it kind of had me a little surprised because I kept thinking fast, 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 and it would slow down for a minute and then would go speeding. It's careening a bit for me, but I think once I get used to it, I'll get the humor a little bit more.
And that's a good point. Maybe that this careening will kind of settle down as we understand a little bit more of the show's premise in a few episodes down the road. But for now, asking me, I thought the jokes fell flat. I thought they missed. For a pilot episode, disappointed by their jokes. And I don't want to be negative at all, but I just got to be honest about it. I thought their jokes, they weren't funny, and I would have liked better jokes and more timely jokes. Characters. What about, we were introduced to a lot of characters. Now, we don't know too much about many of the characters.
No.
Some of them, they've given us a lot of sort of general detail that, like, Officer Nolan's in a relationship. He's divorced. He's, midlife crisis, and now he's with Officer Trent. So we sort of see some detail, but there's not a lot that's been filled in on these characters. Do we feel like we have a good set of characters for our show?
I think there's so many people on the show that it'll take a little while. I'm hoping that as the season progresses, they'll focus a little bit more on each character. We can get to know them. I know Jackson's father is an internal affairs officer that's fairly senior. So I think that's how he was able to get his placement and get like some little perks that other people, he won't get messed with as much. But they weren't able to concentrate on anyone because they're so busy putting them in situations.
So after watching episode 1, how do we feel The Rookie is going to be different than other cop shows?
I think it needs to find its pace and voice. Right now it looks like they're trying to figure out, do we want to be a funny cop show, or do we want to be like a traditional dramatic cop show, or do we want to be a cop show where they're going from emergency to emergency to emergency with no underlying story other than him being an older guy who wants to be a cop.
And I think that gets tired if they don't figure out a way to just going from one scene to another scene to another scene of they're in this situation, this situation, this situation, without giving us some time with the characters outside of the actual job of being a cop. That's going to be tough. They got to give us that time where we get to spend some time with the characters and learn about their background, learn about why they wanted to be a cop, why they're a cop, how about their life outside of being a cop, to add in to them being a cop, right?
Yes, but there's so many people right now. I'd really like to concentrate on their being police officers and figuring out what's going on, even if it's, and to me it wouldn't be boring, them sitting in the police car, or as they called it, their
that's fine.
Office.
Exactly.
Just talking and getting to know each other. Because right now it feels like they talk for a few moments and then something happens and they jump off.
And that's what I'm talking about.
And there's no segue between characters. It just, all of a sudden they just cut to like another scene, in another car. And the pacing, is interesting.
And that's what I mean by getting some character development. They can be in their cop outfits. They can be in their workplace, the cop car. They can be they could be at the, at the LAPD department, and they could be talking in their desk. But just give us some more of them. I think will help elevate the show. Which brings me to, after episode 1, and you guys out there, please be answering this. Watching these cops that are apparently out here in Los Angeles, does this make you feel better or worse about real LA cops?
I'm kind of scared of real LA cops, but I was looking at the chat because I had asked everyone about their favorite arrest, and the Avalon Park says the first arrest was funny, and the you go girl yes moment that she liked. And I'd say I liked the guy being a sexual harasser and insinuating he was going to rape her, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm going to beat your ass. So that was totally awesome. Ringy 90998 said, I don't have a favorite arrest, but the weirdest were the sex freaks. They were odd women.
That was odd. That was an interesting touch. And thank you guys for joining us in the live chat with giving us your thoughts. That's really important. It helps us. Please, if you're going to join us on social media, maybe hashtag ABTV rookie or something like that. We can get conversation going there.
Yes.
Not only in the chat at the live time. If you're watching this on delay, you can also join us on social media and let us know your thoughts. So I'm going to say that watching these cops actually makes me concerned about LA cops. I don't find it to be similar at all, actually. But if I wasn't aware and I didn't know and I watched this show and I thought, man, those are LA cops, I don't think it would be a good representation of an actual LA cop. Shout out to the real LA cops. I think they do a great job, or they try to at least. Which brings me to my final question I have for everybody out there, and this is probably the most important one of this entire show. So if you guys are ready, this show has been set up to have 13 episodes in season 1. Will this show last 13 episodes?
Ooh. ABC has such a long relationship with Nathan. I think they'll give it a lot more chances they would with shows starring unknown people.
Sure. I mean, it's got a name. It is on Tuesday nights. It's a cop show. They usually can bring in the ratings, but I think it's a fair question to ask. Not saying it won't last, but I think it's a fair question to watch, and let's see how we go throughout the season. I mean, 13 episodes, that's going to be 3-4 months, and we'll get to see whether it gets picked up. How are the ratings? How is it developing? I think on the first episode, it's important to wonder if it will fit. Also, this is a good time for everybody out there that's watching and answering along with us. Please, if there's something you want to talk about or you want us to talk about in future episodes, or you think would be a good segment, a good way to involve you on our episode, then just let us know and we'll try to do that going forward. I think we have some news, don't we?
Yes, we do have news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So we have 2 pieces of gossip. Nathan Fillion just completed voicing Green Lantern and Hal Jordan in Reign of Superman.
It's a busy man.
He is a very busy man. One of the latest DC animated movies, which will probably be out sometime in 2019. But there's no announcement when the date will be. And Titus Macon Jr., who plays Jackson, is also an artist. He has a new song out called Suicide. You can find it on Spotify, as well as follow him to find out when the CD will be released.
Love it. Thank you for the news and gossip from Cherry. We'll have some type of news and gossip, hopefully, for you every week from our star reporter right here. She knows it all. I didn't even know that news and gossip. See, I learn as we go, guys. Thank you. All right. Well, if you don't have anything, you might. Let's do predictions, yeah?
Yes.
Let's do some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's really fitting in October this time of the year. It's like Halloween is coming up, and that scary, spooky music for predictions.
Maybe I'll come in Halloween weekend as a sexy cop.
Ooh, now we just got extra followers.
Ooh. Excuse me. My prediction is that John and Lucy are going to keep up with their affair because she don't care. Ooh. She's staying at his friend's fancy guest house, and I can't blame her. I'd be hooking up there too. And I also think that Jackson will have a major crisis. I almost think that he became a cop because his dad expected him to be a cop, and that's why he's not reacting quite as well. And as the season progresses, I think there'll be another emergency where he'll have to figure out, do I really want to be a cop or do I want to be an internal affairs cop where they're not on the street?
Interesting. Those are some unique predictions, and I like where you're at. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna tag team on what you said about the relationship between Officer Nolan and Officer Chen. I definitely think that's gonna continue. They need that for the show. On the flip side, for Officer Jackson, I think he's gonna be a character that may disappear towards this season as it goes on. Maybe he finds the unlucky end to a shootout or something. But we're gonna lose someone or multiple people, and maybe because he's got and he's apparently connected to someone that might be intrigued to bring in another character and add to the drama component. But it will be interesting to see. Every Tuesday night, we'll be here at the AfterBuzz Studios talking about The Rookie for 12 more weeks after today, because there's 13 episodes of ABC's new crime drama show, The Rookie. Where can they find you on social media?
They can find me, Cherry_LA, on Twitter and Instagram.
And you guys can find me at Mike Rips, MikeRips. My name is Michael Rippey. I'm all over social media. And don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and also on YouTube. Make sure you're following AfterBuzz for all the latest and the greatest, because the ESPN of TV talk doesn't stop. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Love ya.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.